Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Welcome. We're here for another episode of the She Said Project podcast. I'm Jenette your host, National Director of all things She Said. And what's up, Kerry Rosso? It's so fun to be back in the podcast studio with you.
It is so much fun. You never know what's going to come out of our mouths, or I should just say what's going to come out of my mouth. But this is the best part of my week. It is so much fun.
We get to reconnect with women who've been on a stage sharing a story, and that's what She Said production, which started right here in, I was going to say your hometown, but your neck of the woods, your hometown now, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. Now, you and your friends had this crazy idea, a decade plus ago.
Thank you.
Yes, where you guys were, well, first of all, you guys are some of the funniest ladies I've ever met. And you are also some of the most empowering and uplifting of women in your community. And so you wanted to create a safe space for women to come together and share laughs, but also share other things that make women, connect. Laughter, tears, emotions, all of those things.
Well, because that's life, right? Like life is never all funny. It's never all serious. It's never all sad. And so we wanted something, we didn't see that reflected back to us. We didn't see something where it showed a true reflection of what women's lives were like. And as we'll talk later with our guest, today's guest really made me think about, because when we started it, I was 40. And so I've been 40 for about 13 years now. But it's my anniversary of being 40. But I think that sometimes those milestones really push us to do something new, to rewrite our script. And that's what we did. I was turning 40, and lots of us were having those kinds of thoughts and like, what are we doing? And is this the script that I want to keep following, or am I ready to pivot? And man, was it fun.
So I know lots of women who have those thoughts, but it is the rare few who actually take the leap of faith, to do something different, get out of their comfort zone, create something, especially, when you get into life and you have your kids and your husband and your routine. It's scary. It can be very scary to do something bold and brave and different. Were you ever afraid of people judging you guys? I'm curious.
Jill was a co-founder, and one of the things that she always said, she was very courageous in everything in life. She's like, try it. And she kept saying, leap and the net will appear.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, but could I just have, like, in writing the guarantee that net is there? I'm not a leap and the net will appear kind of gal. So it was way out of my comfort zone to take that leap. But it's important when you have those people around you saying, you can do it, you can do it. And once somebody compared us to the Little Rascals, because it was just this constant feeding off of each other's energy, like a pile of puppies, like, we can do it, yeah. And no one said no. And that is a reflection of our community.
Yeah.
Everybody kept saying, yes, we've never heard of this. We have no tried and true thing to show to people, just that women have stories, and will you give us a microphone? Will you give us a stage? And everybody kept saying, sure.
And now women in our community and in communities across the Midwest and growing have a place where they can share stories about those big phases in life. Like when I met you, my daughters were 1 and 2, I think, like really little. And I'm like, oh, I can jump in. I've got all the time in the world. I'm going to help, produce and direct the show. And today, for example, my tweens are now, 12 going on 27. And, I'm running around like a crazy person with all their activities and trying to get them home and get here and keep it going. So I have full respect and appreciation for where you were when you started this thing. And you've always said it's this balance of women supporting each other. So when the ball gets heavy, okay, that was just a bad
Okay,
metaphor.
so Jenette and sports aren't exactly, so we'll just give you a pass there. When the ball gets heavy, keep your eye on the ball.
When the road gets hard, you pass the burden along, and you get someone that, one of these amazing women that you know and love to help you out.
Well, and it's that old analogy of, somebody helped you up and you need to remember to reach back for someone. So just like people said yes to us, I want to remember that now when I'm not in my comfort zone and somebody needs to do something or they need encouragement, instead of saying no, encouraging them to go ahead. And then also in the She Said journey, when I got to a point in my life where I realized I can't do all things well right now.
You can't?
You know, at that point I was doing
shocked.
a lot of things sort of half bleep. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to do something halfway, it can't be my family.
Right.
And so that was the shift again, which is the thing in life. There are lots of things to do that you would love and be passionate about, but sometimes you can do it, but not right now. And I'm so grateful. And I remember being at a show, and I needed to leave and go to my son's game. And you stayed and you killed it with the show. And I thought, there it is. Like, I would have been in a position to either go to a game or to the show. And because you had balanced that and stepped in, I was able to sort of like, oh, there it is. Now I do get it all, but only because of other women supporting me.
That's the key. Women can't have it all. They can't have it all at the exact same moment, but sometimes we need help, and we need to be okay with asking for help. So because you welcomed me with open arms, and I get to produce and direct That's What She Said shows, we took your mission, your original idea, and we took it further. So one of the big fun ideas was to see That's What She Said flourish in new communities. And so we launched in Bloomington Normal in 2019. And just a year ago, we started our first show in the city of Decatur. We called it That's What She Said, Macon County. And today we're going to welcome one of our speakers from the very first show in Macon County, but we're going to take a brief pause and let the suspense build.
Okay.
And we're going to come right back and introduce our guest. Was the suspense enough for you? Is it killing you?
It's killing me. It's killing me.
All right. Well, Kerry, I want to introduce you to one of my amazing friends. I got to meet these incredible women from the Decatur community here in Illinois when I got partnered up with the Community Foundation of Macon County, which is now known as the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation. They brought in That's What She Said as a fundraiser to raise funds and awareness for the causes and the organizations in their community. And one of the things I think is so amazing is what you've built, what we've built together, has the ability to raise women up and be creative and be flexible. What this organization did is they created a women's giving circle, and they called it She Gave, in honor of That's What She Said. And so it goes hand in hand, and at every show we get to give money away to their local nonprofit organizations as part of their fundraising goals. So it's been so fun to get to know the community and to get to work with the women in the community. And today, our guest on the She Said Project podcast is one of the women who was in the very first inaugural show at the Lincoln Square Theater in 2024. Please welcome Dr. Dana Ray. Hi, Dana, and
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is so good to see your face, girl.
Thank you.
You look stunning. How have you been?
I have been excellent. And, talking about She Said in the inaugural show and being able to see the second show and seeing you all again, and it was awesome. So
it's one thing to be right on the stage and then to come back and witness, okay, I've been through this. Now I'm sitting in the audience watching other women go through it.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to listen to your story in just a moment, but what did it feel like sitting in the audience after you've already been a She Said speaker and watching a new group of women share their stories?
I sat there understanding the process that they went through, realizing that there were a lot of brave women who got up to share their story. And I could sit back with ease because I didn't have the anxiety of being up there and speaking again. So it was nice just to hear it. But I sat there understanding that they went through a very rigorous process, and they got to see the fruits of their labor on that
I love how you use the word rigorous. Was it really rigorous? Was it hard?
It's emotionally hard.
Okay, I'll take that.
Because it's a process going through, number one, trying to figure out how can I capsulize my life in 10 minutes or 8
or
minutes.
Less.
Right.
10 minutes or less.
Yes,
in the room.
yes, you tried to make us do 8. And mine was a little bit longer.
Jenette would let you do 20. I say 8, and Jenette's like, whatever.
But so it's just that whole process of what to share.
Yeah.
What do I feel comfortable sharing?
Now, we went through a lot of different slices of your life, looking at all of your accomplishments, which are many, to figure, like, it wasn't obvious right away. We dug deep to find all these different, chapters of your life.
Correct. Because I wanted to do something different. Because everyone knew in the community that I'm a physician. So I'm not going to talk about being a physician. I didn't want to talk about that whole journey. I don't know if I just spilled the beans if you wanted to build up to that. But anyway, I didn't
Well, you know what? Our podcast audience doesn't know you because they're not all from Decatur. So let's share a little bit about your journey, about, being a doctor and the work you've done in your community. Let's start there.
All right. Yeah, because you have to tell me what place you want me to start at. So, yes, I'm a physician. I have born and raised in Decatur.
Yeah.
And after completing medical school, came back to Decatur with the intent of working at our federally qualified health center there. And it was an awesome experience. Served the community as city council. Did that for about 10 years.
Wow.
Also was, during that time period, the chief medical officer of this federally qualified health center. So not just an employee physician, but also in leadership.
Chief medical officer while serving on the city council.
Yeah.
Am I getting that right? She's real underachiever here. Okay, continue.
I'm also on the board of the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation.
Congratulations.
And actually, at the end of this month, I will be the president of the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation.
Okay, I did not know that.
Look,
and
big reveal.
That just made it so much more special. Like having that partnership with the community foundation. And she said, and now you're here representing. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
I think that's what I loved so much about your piece is even though you are all of these amazing things, you were so relatable. And so I think for somebody hearing that, and sometimes we fall victim to, but they are so great. They have it all together. They've got all the answers. And so for you to say, I had these things or I had to reset, I think was really powerful for people to see that everybody is going through it.
So you know what I heard though? All of these accomplishments, while absolutely incredible, they come at a price.
They come at a big price.
Yeah.
And for me, I was of the mindset that I thought I could have it all, and I could have it all right now. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, but I'm not doing anything well. And I'm missing these milestones with my son. Because I got on city council if I step back, when I got on city council, I wasn't even pregnant yet. I got pregnant while I was on city council.
Those two things weren't connected though, right?
No, thank the Lord. But one of the projects that I did when I was on city council was starting neighborhood walks. And I was out with my son in a stroller, on these neighborhood walks, because I was determined to be part of the process, because we needed to know what people in the community thought and not just assume. And so I was out there. You didn't know that piece, did you?
No, but that shows so much like who you are and what you're made of. But when we're about to share your story with our audience, because I know what comes next. You gave and you gave and you gave and you gave, and there comes a time in every woman's life where she's given so much of herself, and there are sacrifices.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to jump right into your performance from That's What She Said, and then we can dig into that, unpack that for our audience. Sound good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, so we're not going to waste any more time. Without further ado, we're going to share with you Dana's performance from That's What She Said from Macon County originally, now the heart of Illinois. So please enjoy Dr. Dana Ray and her story, Vacation Revelation.
Attention! Present arms. Order arms. Parade rest. Think about that last word. rest. The military taught me discipline, strategy, and grit, but it did not teach me how to rest. The military also challenged my self-limiting thoughts and taught me that I could do anything I wanted. I've learned strength by pushing beyond my perceived limitations. The military motto to adapt and overcome had molded my adult life. I joined the Army Reserves as a teenager and left the military in my second year of medical school. I have regularly juggled several roles at once. Some of you may now understand my mindset and why I have accomplished so much in a short time period. I typically describe myself by my accomplishments. I'm a military veteran who served in the military for 12 years. I'm a board-certified family physician. All right, y'all gonna get tired of clapping, so y'all might as well hold off for a second. I told y'all now, I've done quite a bit. So, Chief Medical Officer of a federally qualified health center, completed a fellowship in executive leadership, and then became board certified in addiction medicine. I am currently the medical director for inpatient and outpatient substance abuse services. I'm a former elected Decatur City Council member for 10 years. And then I have served on several boards. I'm an executive coach, and I've been an ordained minister for over 20 years. All right, now you can clap. So why did I say all that? I've done a lot. Sister Girl is tired. I have lived the military motto of adapt and overcome. But for me, who have been 26 for about 20 years, approaching that dreaded 50 years of age or 50th birthday made me evaluate what's important in life. Some individuals turn 50 and suddenly it's about the little red car, a new hairdo, a vacation home or a big lavish party, and just trying to live it up before you die. Some people will call it a midlife crisis. So, I didn't get a little red car. I got a friend who does, though. I didn't get a vacation home. I got another friend who does. Friends have their benefits. I can get a new hairdo by purchasing a wig. So, I didn't need that. So instead of a midlife crisis, I decided we're going to have a midlife analysis. Every year on our anniversary, my husband and I sit down and have a year in review conversation. So some of y'all think that's type A personality. It is, it's me, it's okay. So we talk about the things in our lives that went well that year and the things that didn't. And we start planning for what we want to see in the future and how we want to improve our marriage. So, for my midlife analysis, I needed to evaluate what I wanted in my career, my personal life, and in my ministry. And up to this point, I had worked a lot. I had many obligations and was pulled in many different directions. I found myself going through the motions and not enjoying the journey. There were all these other demands that were driving the bus. With the fast pace of my job and projects, I couldn't find enough space in my head to think about what I wanted. So I took myself on a 1-week vacation to Florida. The vacation allowed me to be quiet and figure out what I wanted in life. My week-long vacation on the beach was not pretty. It was raining and it was cold, but it was still transformational. I avoided all emails and other electronic distractions, and at first I didn't know what to do with myself. I was determined to learn to just be present for me. I did not busy myself with shopping and sightseeing. I was antsy and uncomfortable doing nothing. During that week, I slowly realized what it felt like to relax. I felt normal again and not on edge. It felt good. I realized I wanted more of this on a regular basis. I wanted to be more in control of my schedule. I wanted to create space to think and process information without just reacting all the time. I wanted more quality time with my family and friends. I wanted time to pursue opportunities in ministry. I wanted a complete overhaul. From that week forward, I began to intentionally restructure my life to have more of what I desired. The year I turned 50, I planned 4 separate vacations with people in my life. I wanted to share this journey into the big 5-0. On the first trip, I was walking down the street in Houston, talking with my closest girlfriends, when I concluded that there was something liberating about turning 50. I have proven that I'm capable. I have proven that I have earned the right to be in certain spaces and rooms. I have proven that I am a good physician and a good administrator. I have proven that I can adapt to others, and I was a good wife and mother. I have proven my worth in life. So I don't have to be afraid to embrace the changes I wanted to implement. These women who I allowed to speak into my life are my rock. I greatly appreciate that they encourage me to be authentic and vulnerable and support me. The second trip was a luxurious vacation to St. Lucia with my husband, my boo. And I am not going to tell you what he calls me. It gets on my nerves. That's all I'm going to say. It was just about the two of us, reflecting on the past 16 years, discussing what we wanted in life together, and building a relationship that would sustain us through good and bad times, focusing on our love for each other. Then I took a fun vacation with my son for his birthday, just to be present for him. No work obligations. Well, I did have one Zoom meeting. But I wanted to show him that he is essential and Mom will always be there for him. And, of course, there is no better way to celebrate your birthday than on a vacation with your mama. So, the weekend of my 50th birthday, I had not one, but 2 lavish parties. This might be considered a midlife crisis at this point. But one party was full of nothing but desserts, symbolic of all the sweet things in life. And the second was an intimate dinner with my family and friends. Then I honored all that I was embracing and went on another solo vacation, this time at a resort in the woods. It was time to reflect. There was no strategizing about the future, no agenda of activities. I was just living in the moment. Now, After all these vacations, it was time for me to implement my plan. I went from working full-time to part-time. I had to abandon the need to be perfect and to have my hands in everything, which was difficult. And it also meant I could not demand perfection from others. I embraced going into part-time ministry. I intentionally created space for myself and others to just be, whatever that looks like. My midlife analysis developed into a leap of faith. I went a year without a plan, which was scary but liberating, especially since I had a detailed plan for everything in my life. My schedule was now my own, and I chose my obligations. For a recovering workaholic, it was a year-long vacation. A defining moment during this time period was when I was sitting on the back porch in the middle of the day, sipping tea and painting with my son. I had discovered a hobby. I didn't have a hobby as an adult. Here I am in the middle of a work week, painting. No idea of how the finished artwork would look. The mistakes, I just painted over it. I allowed the picture to evolve. Ultimately, the masterpiece wasn't perfect, but it was a beautiful symbol of what you can accomplish when you allow yourself to be in the moment. To trust that even though everything is not perfect or goes as planned, it will work out for your good. For me, it was about trusting God to be the artist in my life and allowing Him to create His masterpiece through me. So my midlife crisis or analysis has resulted in a person who is living wholeheartedly, walking beside others and helping them to live the life they desire. I have been able to have it all, but I learned that I just don't want and can't do it all at once. And you have to be willing to change. Who am I today? I'm a woman of faith, living an authentic life, a happy life, and I have finally learned how to relax.
Wow, just wow, Dana. Like taking this time to look back and watch your story one more time just brings me back to that incredible night. And all the things we forgot to mention about how incredible you are. Your military service on top of all of your accomplishments, amazing. And thank you. Thank you for your service. But what a fun opening to your story when we got all the ladies involved in your,
Yes.
what do you call that? Your salute?
Yes. Yeah. And because I wanted to do something that would catch people's attention at the very beginning.
Well, I think you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, and it was a real nice piece to talk about the rest, because really that's what I didn't do very well. And, you know, one of the things that I was beat myself up on at the end is that I said relax instead of rest. But it was, and I look back on that and it's like, man, that is so not me now. I have learned how to rest or relax.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
We don't beat ourselves up here.
And correct.
Yeah.
And my son, even this week, he was like, because he's on vacation, so he has a list of things that he wants us to do this week. Wants to make some homemade ice cream.
Ooh.
Wants us to paint.
This is a very, very strict agenda here.
Oh,
Yes.
it's easy. It's easy. And you know, he's just looking forward to spending time with mom. And how many teenage boys do you know who want to spend time with their mother?
You're doing something right,
Right.
obviously. So let's talk about this midlife analysis concept. Like I
Fabulous.
was watching Carrie's face just light up.
Well, I think I loved the idea, but then when I thought it through, like, wait, then would I have to face music on some things? Like if there's just a list, I'm like, okay, I got a list of things. But I thought there were so many things that it was all universal. You know, we're all so busy. I was so nervous about the going on vacation alone. And I thought, when was the last time I was alone? When was the last time I went to dinner alone? I've never gone on a trip alone. All of these things that just sound terrifying and awesome at the same time.
Well, I didn't get married until I was 34. So I learned how to be comfortable by myself. And, going on medical trips as far as continuing medical education opportunities, I went by myself. So it was okay for me to do that. Now, I still had to convince my husband to let me go because, he still wanted to be my protector.
Aww.
But I talked to him every day, multiple times throughout the day, so that he knew where I was at.
What would you say to a woman who is, going through, approaching the big 5-0, but what was it about going on a trip by yourself that, like, what did that do for you? What kind of advice would you give a woman who's considering that option?
Take it, number one.
Yeah.
For me, because if anyone else had went with me, I would have been concerned about what they wanted and what their needs are. And do you want to go eat here? Or, I'm not hungry yet, but you're hungry. So now I need to do what you want to do. And it wasn't about anyone else. It was all about me. And so I truly needed that opportunity to be by myself. Because, as I stated during the talk, I did not realize until the end of the week how much I was carrying. Because it's like, hold up. This is what normal feels like. This is what it means to sit and do nothing. And it's like, because I'm always doing something. I always had my cell phone or an iPad or a computer or something.
Or all of the above at the same time.
Right. And or someone calling me, asking me a question. How should I manage this patient? There was this crisis that took place in the facility. So it was liberating.
When I was taking notes, I started taking notes on what I wanted to talk to you about. And one of them, honestly, menopause was one of the things. When I saw family practice, I was like, sis,
Dr. Ray's in the house.
Dr. Ray, we're going to need to talk about that. But one of the things I thought about was how much of our lives is external. The void is filled by our scrolling, guilty, true crime, I like to watch, like all the things that are, it's social media, it's our phones, it's talking to others, and there's so little time that's just quiet.
Correct.
And that I really found intriguing, that if all those voids are filled up in our life, we have to be purposeful about making time where it isn't external and we're just in our own heads.
Because you never know what are your own thoughts. Because it's always centered off someone else's. And I intentionally, and there are times when I have to make sure I practice it on a more regular basis where I'm just in silence. But at least weekly, I have that period of silence. No music, no TV, just silence.
So I think I've built a habit. I think it was by accident, but I will find myself driving in silence quite a bit. If I've dropped the kids off and I have the radio station on that's on their music, I'll shut it off. And a lot of times I'll fill a car ride with, phone calls or work or a podcast or something I wanted to listen to. But sometimes accidentally 10, 15, 20 minutes will go by and I'll be like, wait a second, I didn't turn anything on. I was just listening, to myself. And that becomes kind of a meditative state that's not dangerous.
It's right.
Oh, I'm driving, but just finding time to be quiet.
Right. And for me, I talked about how my faith is important. How can you hear what God is leading you to if you don't have time of silence so you can hear what he's saying? And I think, the distractions is what take over. Because we find it uncomfortable to be to have to deal with our own selves.
Right. I mean, that's why we put on the TV and the radio and the social media, right? Because then we have to pay attention. And I want to be distracted sometimes.
You want to escape.
Yeah. Not face the music, right, Rosso?
Right. Well, so I think it's all balance, right? So I have had to make rules for myself. If I'm at home, putting my phone on our windowsill for a certain amount, like not just walking around and having access to that. I can only watch one true crime a night.
Just one.
Because we have to set those limits, just like we do at our jobs and for our kids, and we have to hold ourselves accountable too.
So I've got some more questions for Dr. Ray, but we're going to take just a quick break. So Dana, one of the things I'm curious about, but also a little bit jealous of, is when you went through your midlife analysis, you came to the conclusion that you needed to schedule some vacations. Like they were very intentional, and they were with specific people. How did you get that inspiration?
I just did it. That was an accident. Look, those were those good
I'm
accidents.
out of here. Yes.
So I needed to burn up a bunch of PTO.
Okay.
As I was getting ready to exit. You can get paid out or you can use it. I decided to use it. So I took all those different vacations.
Right. So on your way out of your role, which role was that?
That was Chief Medical Officer
Right.
of the Federally Qualified Health Center.
And it was time. It was time to let that go. It was time to start the next chapter and redefine what Dr. Dana's days looked like. So that brings me to my next point when you brought up in your story, there's this recurring theme in your life. When you were on the walk with your girlfriends in Houston, you had this reflection of all these things that you had already proven to yourself. All these accomplishments. And I think that's an important point in your story, because how many women go and go and go, and there isn't even that moment of, look what I've done, or taking ownership of it, or taking credit for it, or just disregarding it completely. But you let that be an opportunity to reflect and remember all these things. And there was something about that word, and I remember you brought it to our conversation.
Yes.
What is it about the word proven to you?
Really, up until that time when we were walking in Houston with my friends, it didn't mean anything to me. But we were just talking about our life because my friends are a little older than me. I'm actually the baby of the group. I get to say that. And so I was like, why am I doing this? I was like, I've proven myself. And then that was my aha moment. Yeah, I have proven I'm a good doctor. Why am I worried about what everybody else thinks? My patients love me. That was part of my struggle with leaving, because I've had this rapport with my patients. At that point, it was 17 years that I was with the organization. And I was like, dang gummit. I can say dang gummit, right? Look,
Sure.
You're not gonna hit in your sound
Absolutely.
effects. I'm like, dang gummit, I'm pretty good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm okay. And why am I afraid to try something new? My whole career I've tried different things that were new. I can step away.
So what are some of the things you've created in your new chapter?
So, because of our conversation and that aha moment again that I had with you, I was struggling trying to find a name of my new business, my new medical practice.
Her new chapter is starting a new medical practice, just by the way.
Just in her free time.
Yeah, right. She left being chief medical officer.
We've all started our own medical practice.
Haven't we? Haven't we all?
But this is different because it's concierge or direct primary care. So I spend anywhere from a half hour to an hour with my patients.
Wow.
So it's not the quick 10, 15-minute appointment where I'm rushing through trying to figure out what's going on with this person, ordering something real quick and running off to the next person.
That is a completely different approach.
Right. I get to slow down and really listen to my patients. And so as a result of our conversation, yes, I have to give you credit for me coming up with the name. I said, you was like, proven, you keep saying that over and over again. I said, you know what, that is right. Because I'm also providing proven medical practices.
Yes.
I'm using evidence-based guidelines. And I was like, it works both ways.
She was just launching this business when we started the process of writing her story. And that's exactly the moment she was in, is what am I going to call it? What am I going to call it?
Yep, because that was in November.
Yeah.
I filed my LC paperwork in December. And it was entitled Proven Medical and Executive Coaching.
And you are up and running today.
I am up and running.
How has that felt for you?
I feel like a different person.
Really?
I truly do. It's like, man, that person is gone. The stress, I'm more relaxed. I'm enjoying life. And not saying that I didn't enjoy life then, but as you stated, it came with a price. And it also came with, I'm thinking about what's next. So yes, I'm here in the movies watching it with my family, but I'm thinking about what I got to do when I get out of here. Mm-hmm. And that is the place where a lot of women or professionals find themselves in. It's, yes, I take the break, but you really don't enjoy it because you're already thinking about what I'm sacrificing in order to be in this place at this moment in time. So
I think there's something that happens, or at least for me, and it seems like with other women, in our 50s, something happens where we just have this freedom, and I wish we could give it to younger women. And I think it's probably the same for men, but I remember like in my 30s feeling like you have to prove yourself, and then being irritated at like, nobody's asking my husband or men, like, how do you balance it all? Nobody's asking them that. And so for a long time, always, one, proving myself, but two, being like, what is it about women that we're doing this to ourselves? My husband isn't, he's a wonderful husband and father, but he isn't grappling with these things in the same way that I am.
And as my position as an executive coach, I come across other professionals who have that issue though. Predominantly women, but there are some men as well. And it's labeled imposter syndrome. So you feel like, okay, have I really proven that I can be in this space? And sometimes people end up doing self-sabotaging behaviors because of feeling like they're an imposter. But I get to help people get beyond that and own the space that they're in and show up authentically as themselves.
We're going to take just one more break, and then we're going to wrap this up. And
my menopause.
All the advice that Kerry needs. Like, we need a couple more hours for that. But go see Dr. Dana Ray. She'll talk to you for an hour with all the.
I know. When I heard that, I was like, book the appointment.
Here we go. So when we come back, we'll pick Dana's brain one more time and make sure all the women who are listening today can get all these wonderful gems of wisdom. Dr. Dana Ray, you went through your midlife analysis. You restarted or re-envisioned or rewrote your next chapter, started this beautiful business. You are helping other professionals by coaching them, and you have found peace and rest and balance in your life. So, I mean, that seems like
Sign me up.
I know. That's like the Holy Grail right there.
And it's not like my life is problem-free or anything like that. You still have issues that you go through in life, and you still have moments where it's like, oh, man, do I need to do something different? But because I've pivoted once, I don't have as much fear with pivoting again.
Oh, I love that. It takes the fear out of it a little bit. Yeah. So being a woman in her 50s, we can all relate. Like, we wanted to, what advice could you give women who are, feeling their age a little bit?
Yes, there's a lot of changes that take place when you turn 50, not just the fact that, the number changes or, doing a midlife analysis. But yes, as women age, we begin to have hot flashes or, some mood changes or, some myalgias. Yes, some muscle aches. That's
redistribution.
Yes,
right?
Redistribution of weight in the central area. Some hair thinning. There, the list can go on and on and on. A little brain fog. And this is when you need to really have a good physician in your corner who you can talk to. have an hour appointment if you need to talk about all the things that's going on, and really come up with a plan that you feel comfortable with, because there's a lot of pros and cons to it. You have hormone replacement therapy, or you have some of the alternatives with the estrogen-like medications, or there's the antidepressants and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's a lot of different things. And it's a conversation to have with your doctor. And this is when you have to have someone that you trust.
And I totally see a spinoff, Dr. Dana Ray and her own podcast, talking to women about all the things. I mean, you never know. You never know. I'm just saying, in case anyone hasn't noticed, we are in some new digs these days. Like we started the podcast a good 5-6 years ago. We got to 100 episodes, and
Yay.
it was only by the grace and partnership of some incredible community partners. But for our friends who are watching, we are now on the WCIA Plus streaming app. And now not only do we get to check in with these incredible women and revisit their stories, but we get to see them. We get to see each other. You guys get to see us. So when you're listening to the podcast, you can also watch the podcast on WCIA Plus and on YouTube. I mean, this is a game changer. Like, this feels really cool. What do you think, Kerry?
It really is. Well, I was just wondering, like, with all this medical advice, like, is this like a televisit and we're going to get an invoice? If we are, I'm going to have you talk about my chin hair before.
That's the thing. We have to look in the mirror now before we come into the studio.
Yeah.
We used to be able to show up wearing whatever, right?
Yep,
When
it's
it was
a game
voice
changer.
only.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is a whole new thing. But I love that you've shared all of this with us, and I feel like, and I think of your patients, I'm so jealous. They must just feel like it's just girlfriends sitting around talking, and that they would feel comfortable saying, so anyway, about this chin hair. You just you put people at ease. And I think that that's really important, and why Jenette was raving about you, that you were such a good fit with She Said, because you support women and you're easy to talk to and you're self-effacing. I think that's what, when I looked at the list of all of the awesome things you do, but the thing that struck me the most was just how relatable you were, that, like, yes, even people who have all of these amazing accomplishments, you can still talk to them about your chin hair. You make everybody around you feel so at ease.
Thank you.
If that's your takeaway, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
This accomplished woman, and you can talk to her about your chin hair.
There
But
it
I
is,
do have
winning.
my patients who talk to me about their chin hair.
I know.
I do.
Because women
And it's
need
okay.
that. Women need real places to talk
Right.
about real things, and to have women who've got their back. And that's exactly what we do here. That's what She Said. And now on the She Said Project podcast. Dr. Dana Ray, thank you so much for joining us today. It is a joy and a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you. This was an honor.
Thanks so much for joining us
Thank
here
you.
on the podcast. Here
Over
also
and out.
Shake us out. Here we go.
Over and out.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.